What's up guys, Dave here from Red Dot Shooters, and today we're going to unbox and review this green dot sight. Let's go! Alright guys, so as you can see here we have a Cyelee green dot sight, and this sight was sent to me by Cyelee, which I do appreciate because it helps out the channel quite a bit. But we're going to unbox it today. I'm going to show you what you get with it. I'm going to put it on one of my guns, take it to the range, and let you know how it shoots. So first of all, let's unbox it. A little sticker. Alright, here we go. Here is the good stuff. Looks like we have some tools and a battery. You can see right here it's a 1632, CR1632. We'll talk about the battery a little bit more in a bit. We have several screws. Oh, and they're labeled, so you got the sizes there. That's pretty cool. I like that more and more companies are doing this. They're giving us multiple screws. They're telling us what the dimensions are, what size screws they are, and that just makes it easier because, you know, there's so many different mounting options, so many different mounting systems, depending on what gun you have. That's a nice touch. I like to see that. Alright, it comes with a cover on top, rubber cover. And here is the sight. Again, this is the CT2 green. So it's a green dot. Nice machining on it. Feels like good quality as I have it here in my hands. Obviously it does come with a Picatinny mount right here. So if you are running it on, you know, maybe an offset on a rifle or on a carbine that takes like a low sight, might be a good option there. And there's risers too if you want to put it like on a small AR or something, have a super compact dot. But yeah, looking pretty good so far. Alright, let me begin by taking off the mount that comes with this. So let me clear some of this stuff off. Alright guys, so here is the sight with the mount removed. And there's the bottom of it. We'll talk about the footprint. The footprint's an RMR footprint, which I like quite a bit. And yeah, logo on the side, adjustments, and then your brightness buttons right there. Simple, and you can kind of see your mount as well right here if you want to use the Picatinny mount. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to do is install the battery. And so you can see it is a top-loaded battery, which that is good. All of these pistol mounted red dots at this point should be top mounted. I don't care if they're budget or premium, top loaded or side loading, batteries is a must for me so that we can change out the battery without taking the dot off of our sight. So you don't lose zero and then, you know, have to re-zero your sight just because you had to change out your battery on your optic. So like I said, that's something I'm always looking for on red dot sights, and we have it here, which is definitely a good thing. And the way it works, I've never done this before because I just opened it, and this is the first Cyelee that I've had. I've been looking at some, but this is the first one I've had, and it looks like you just use the star wrench right here to get it off. So let me try and do that now. Like I told you before, 1632 battery, CR1632. Should just go in like this. Oh, they had a battery in there already. Wait. Alright, well I feel really dumb. They did have a battery installed in it already and I didn't even notice, so. You probably noticed as you were watching and were calling me an idiot, and that's fine. Alright, so let me get this back in here. I'm going to take this one out. So they give you an extra battery, which is cool. Put this back in. And then you just screw it down once you have it set. Alright, so changing out the battery is as easy as that. And just be advised that mine came with a battery installed and there was an extra battery included in the packaging. Now, to turn it on, maybe I should read the instructions, but I don't know, I'm not gonna. Let me see if it'll turn on. Yep. Alright, so all I did was press the up button, it turned right on, and we have a pretty bright green dot. Let's see if I can get you to see it here. There it is. It never shows up right on camera. It's much smaller than that. It's a 3 MOA dot. Yeah, green dot sight. To me, I don't really have a big preference between red or green. I like both. Now that might not be the case for you. Some people pick up red much better. Some people pick up green much better. Both are high vis for me, so I pick them up pretty fast, and it doesn't really matter to me which color I have. Now obviously this is the green model, so it's called the CT2 green. So if you like green, or if you prefer green, or if you're like me where it doesn't really matter, this might be a good option for you. Now like I said, the reticle is a 3 MOA dot reticle, and I think 3 MOA is a good size. For me, I like 2 MOA or 3 MOA. Some people like bigger dots, and that's fine, but for me and the way I shoot, my skill level, I like 2 to 3, maybe 3.5 to 4 at the highest. But just keep in mind that if you go with this sight, you're going to get a 3 MOA dot, and I think that's a good size because it's pretty quick and easy to pick up, and it's also pretty precise. Now one thing I will mention, just looking at the sight right here, is that the glass is really clear. It doesn't have much of a blue tint to it, which honestly for me doesn't really matter. I don't even notice like the blue tint on some dots when I'm shooting, but it's always nice to have a clear dot when you can get it. And this dot right now, I just have it inside with my lights on in here, looks pretty bright and pretty clear. I do want to see how bright it is when I take it outside into the Vegas desert, into the Vegas sun, because I have had dots that just wash out. I can't even use them because they're just not bright enough. But this one I think is going to be plenty bright, and like I said, it gives you a good clear window to look through. One thing I also want to do for you is kind of compare some window sizes. So I have some of my other guns here. Let's clear some of this off first. Alright, so here is the Holosun 407C, which I think is a good dot to compare against the CT2. Kind of a standard dot. And let's compare what they look like. So window size is pretty similar to the Holosun 407C or 507C because it's the same size. The Cyelee CT2 looks to be a tiny bit bigger to me, just right here, but they're pretty much the same. I also think the Cyelee is a little bit clearer. The Holosun has a little bit more blue tint. I think that's called a notch filter. Just helps with the brightness. So that's one comparison. Here, I've got a few other sights. Let's take a look here. Here's the Kraken, the Swamp Fox Kraken. I like this sight a lot. This one is also a green dot actually. I got the Kraken in green when I got it. But let's take a look. There it is. Let's do a side by side. You can kind of see there, much larger window for the Cyelee. Because some of these enclosed emitters, these kind of boxy ones, these mailbox ones, I like them, but they do have kind of smaller sized windows. There you go. Here's another one. This one's probably my favorite enclosed emitter right now, the EPS, the full size EPS. You can see I have it on a Glock 17 here. Let's compare window size. You can see the EPS has a much bluer tint to it, and window size, about the same to me. Let's do one more. Here's my Glock 48, my carry gun, and you can see I have a 507K here. So yeah, it's going to be much larger. The window's going to be much larger than the 507K because the CT2 is a full size dot. But there you go. You can kind of see it. So first impressions here, I like the clear window, the lens, and I also like the size of the window. I think it's a good size, good standard size for like a standard size dot. Now the material that you get is aircraft grade aluminum. It feels pretty strong. It does have these kind of reinforced posts here. It is a little bit more of a thin design than like some of my Holosuns. Oh, one more dot I want to compare it to. Here's the Crimson Trace Rad, which this sight doesn't get a lot of love, but I actually like it. I think it's a good sight. There you go. More blue tint on the Crimson Trace Rad, and window size is about the same. Alright, so, but like I was saying, yeah, the materials, aircraft grade aluminum, very strong aluminum. It does seem to be a little bit more of a thin housing than like a Holosun, because the Holosuns are massive. Like, look how thick the 407C is, and here's the CT2. So it is thinner than that. But that being said, I have seen some dots. Which are much thinner and more flimsy than this. So This is kind of a medium amount of material in my opinion, and I don't know, we'll see how it holds up when I take it out and shoot with it. It is IPX7 waterproof, so basically it can handle rain, no problem, which is pretty much all I want my sights to do. And it is shockproof, so it should be able to handle being mounted on a pistol. But obviously you could also mount it on a shotgun, a carbine. Again, you do have the low Picatinny mount included with the sight. Now let me go back to the battery real quick. So again, top loading battery, 1632 battery cell, and that gives you 50,000 hours at a maximum. So what's that gonna be in terms of, you know, real world setting, kind of a medium brightness setting probably? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that it also has what Cyelee calls MDS, and that's motion deactivated standby. So basically that's their shake awake. That's their MOTAC. That's their auto on, auto off, which when you leave the sight still, like if it's on your gun and you're safe, it's gonna turn off automatically and save the battery life. And then as soon as you grab your gun, it'll sense that motion and the sight will be on. So by the time you pick it up to try and shoot, the dot should be on. So they do have that in there, and that's a good thing. I always like sights that have that kind of auto on, auto off feature. And every different manufacturer has their branding, is what they want to call that. But basically it's going to save your battery life, and it's not going to cost you anything because the optic is going to turn on automatically as soon as you touch your gun. So again, that's something I like. Aside from that, like I told you before, it's an RMR footprint, which I think is perfect. I think any open pistol red dot like this style, you know, with the open emitter right here, I think they should all just be RMR footprints, because that would make it a lot easier on all of us consumers, all of us gun guys and shooters. But you know, these companies got to compete with each other, so they all have their different footprints. But this one is an RMR footprint, and again, I like that. That's going to give you the most mounting options. You can buy slides that are already cut for RMRs very easily. You can get pretty much any gun cut for an RMR easily. So going with an RMR footprint on this was a great choice by Cyelee, and definitely a positive in my mind. Now my plan for this sight is to put it on my G19. So this is a Gen 4 G19 I've had for a long time. I decided I wanted to try out a Zafiri Precision slide, so I picked one up and just replaced all the internals from my stock G19, put some suppressor height sights on it, and you can see that it is an RMR footprint, but it's the type that has the posts around the screws. So one thing I don't know yet is if any of the screws that Cyelee provided are gonna fit in this slide cut. So that's something we're gonna have to find out together. Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at it, I don't know. They all look a little too thin, so I might have to order some screws that are thinner. Not sure yet though. But let me just show you. I mean, it's an RMR footprint, so all it's going to do is go straight on like that. You can kind of see what it's going to look like right here, and then you just put your screws down right there. And they should have a torque spec as well. Usually it's 10 to 15 inch-pounds, maybe 10 to 13 if you want to be more safe. But yeah, that's all you do to mount it. All you do is put it on, and then you put your screws in and crank them down. So yeah, with that being said, guys, that's all I got for this part of the video. Let me pause here. Let me look and see if any of these screws are gonna fit, and if not, I'm gonna order some screws and I'm gonna tell you guys which ones I used. That way, just in case you have a slide that is of this style that you want to mount this on, for this style you need kind of a thinner screw. But again, guys, I'm gonna get this thing mounted, I'm gonna take it to the range, I'm gonna shoot with it, we'll have some fun, we'll see how this thing works, and then hopefully that's gonna give you guys a good idea as to whether or not the CT2 is a good dot for you or not. So see you in a minute. Alright guys, I'm back from the range, and let's talk about some of the things I've learned about the CT2 Green. Now first of all, let's talk about mounting this thing. So as you can see here, I have a Zafiri Precision slide, and this particular slide has the posts that raise up around the screw holes. And none of the screws that came provided with the Cyelee, with the CT2, would fit this particular slide. Now they did give you a bunch of different screw types, but again, the ones that would fit this type of slide, they didn't have any that would fit. So, you know, this varies. It's hard for companies because there's so many different mounting options out there. There's nothing that's uniform, which kind of sucks. But here's the good news. I was able to get screws for this very easily and very affordably. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But anyway, mounting it is super simple. You just drop it on if you have an RMR footprint, and then you put the 2 screws down and you know, tighten down the screws to spec. But anyway, back to the screws. So I have a lot of screws here at the house just because I, you know, review these things for fun. I tried all my different screw types. None of them worked. I actually scratched that. One worked, but it was way too long, and I didn't want to basically trim down the screw to try and find the right size. So I went online, searched around. Eventually, I saw these, and I didn't know if they would work. I didn't know if they would fit. I didn't know if they would be the right length. I did know they would be the right thread pitch or type, whatever, but I didn't know if they would be the right length. So I bought them, screwed them down, and they were perfect. And so if you have a slide that has the posts around the screw hole, not the like lugs up in the front, here's your solution. Go on Amazon and find this company, Monster Bolts. And this pack of like, I don't know how many it was. It cost me $5. It was shipped very fast, and it was super easy to buy because it was on Amazon. So, but anyway, even if you don't want to go with this particular brand, I think these are heat treated too, which is good. You want that when you're mounting an Optic. This is the correct size. Now, again, depending on your slide, you might not need these. Regardless of the Optic you want to mount, this is a great option if you do have those little lugs. So again, Monster Bolts, that's the company. I got them on Amazon. I don't know if you can get them somewhere else. Maybe you don't like Amazon. But yeah, these are good screws. It was $5 and they fit perfectly. So after I had those screws, super easy to mount this thing. You know, you just put it on and then tighten them down. You could see that I did, I have this gold, like, this gold marker pen, and I used that to mark the screws because I have, in the past I have like rushed mounting my optics. This has only happened once, but I did rush mounting an Optic, brought it to the range, super excited to shoot it. Shot like 2 mags and then it flew off. So I always mark it now just to check and make sure that it's staying tightened down, and I do recommend you do that. And as you can see, the screws did not back out. Everything stayed in place. I shot about 200 rounds. I don't know if I said that yet or not. I shot about 200 rounds with this whole setup here. So, you know, that's not a long-term test or anything, but that's my test, so take it or leave it. Now, after I mount a dot on a pistol, I always like to slave the dot to the iron sights. These iron sights, they do co-witness, which is cool. But I always like to go with Ameriglows that are black in the front and in the rear, because I don't really want to be distracted from the dot. It's not that big a deal if you do have like a white dot or a, you know, a fiber optic or something, but this is my preferred setup when I have a dot. And by the way, if you see this gun, you see anything I've done with it and want to know more about it, I will leave a link in the description below where you can go and check out all the different parts. I'll break it down for you so you can see what they are. But anyway, these Ameriglows, I slaved the dot to the Ameriglows, brought this setup to the range, and guess what? I started missing a bunch. So I was thinking to myself when I was at the range, am I just sucking really bad, or is this thing off? And I had a feeling it was off. I had a feeling that slaving the dot was not going to get it perfectly on this particular time. I have done that before and it's been on, but this time it did not. I was shooting steel to start with, but anyway, I checked it on paper and sure enough, it was hitting low, which was a relief for me because I felt like I should have been making the shots that I was missing. So here's kind of what happened when I was zeroing. So my first shots were down here in this kind of group, and like I said, that kind of gave me a sigh of relief. I was like, okay, I'm not just sucking. There is kind of a group here, and it looks like it's low and to the right. So I moved it up a little bit. I didn't really adjust the windage, just the elevation. Moved it up to here, started hitting here, and I was like, okay, I gotta go up and to the left. So eventually this was kind of my last group. This was all about from 10 yards, just shooting offhand, not on a bench or anything like that. So I was like, okay, this is good enough for me. I'm kind of impatient and I wanted to get back to actually shooting. So once I got it basically zeroed, good enough for me, it was on, and it didn't matter, you know, what distance I was shooting. And by the way, if you want, if you need some free targets, reddotShooters.com/targets. You can go there, you know, and just print them off for free. So now once this thing was on, I had some good fun with it. So this again is a green dot. I usually shoot red dots, but I don't mind green dots. You know, this one is a green dot as well, the Swamp Fox Kraken, which by the way, I think Cyelee has a version of this sight, which is very, very similar. I might need to get one of those to review it. I think it's called the Bear. But yeah, this thing was great. I mean, you've got a nice window size. You can see a lot through the optic. That helps you find the dot quicker, track the dot better. I'm not the best shooter in the world, but I can, you know, I'm working on tracking the dot and trying to shoot faster. And here's kind of a sticking point for me. And one of the things that I think is really great about this particular dot, which is a budget dot, it's super bright. I have some dots, I won't name any names right now. I have some budget dots which are about the same price as this. They're not bright enough. I'm from Vegas. I shoot in the desert, or sometimes at ranges out in the desert, and it's very bright out here. Usually I can't have the dot washing out. This thing is very powerful. I don't even think I had it on the top setting, and even though it was a really bright sunny day in the desert, I had no problem seeing the dot. It was very, very clear. That is awesome. I'm really happy with that, especially on, like I said, a budget dot. Another thing I really liked about it is that it is clear. That lens is super clear. I don't know if I can really show it. I should have got some shots shooting through it at the range, but I didn't. Sorry about that. But you can see it here next to the Holosun 407C, which is another sight I love. This is a more expensive sight. It's got different features, but you can see, look at the clarity level. The 407C has more of a notch filter, you know, a more pronounced notch filter, I should say. And honestly, I don't even notice it when I'm shooting, but maybe you do. So it's really cool that you're getting a very bright dot in a very clear sight window with the CT2. Now I have had this sight for probably a couple months. It's been on in my safe the whole time. It does have the auto on, auto off feature, and it does have good battery life, so no problems with the battery dying on me. I have had sights die on me just sitting in my safe for like a couple weeks. So that's good to see. Obviously, this is not a long-term test for that battery life, but I'm not too worried about the battery life on this. I think it's gonna last just fine. And another thing is, when Cyelee sent this sight to me, you know, they told me, be honest about it, and they also told me, do a torture test on it. I didn't really do a torture test on it. I don't really want to throw my gun around. I'm not made of money, so I didn't do a torture test, but I did rack it off of a table several times. You can kind of see it's nicked up a little bit here on the side, and it did just fine. This is a budget optic. It's not going to be the most durable optic you can get. I think the durability is pretty solid for a budget optic. And depending on what you want to use it for, I think it would be just fine. It's not going to be a duty optic. I mean, if you're like a cop or something like that, I don't think it's the right optic for you. But if you're maybe for concealed carry, maybe just for plinkers and stuff like that, I don't see a problem with it. So I think it's pretty good, pretty durable. And again, if you need to rack it off a table, rack it off a boot, a belt, whatever, it can handle it. Now when I zeroed it, I did forget the little screwdriver that comes included. So what I ended up having to do was break out a knife and basically adjust it with a knife, and it worked. So always carry around a pocket knife. So overall guys, I'm really impressed with the Cyelee CT2 green. It's got great battery life, it's got auto on, auto off, it has a top loading battery. Again, that's a great feature for a budget optic. Some of this site's competitors do not have that. You have to take the sight off every time you need to change the battery, which is so stupid. That's a great design right there. It's also super bright, a very important feature in my mind for a budget red dot or green dot. The lens is clear, it's a nice wide open sight picture. I think it's a very good little optic in the kind of budget category. Now if you're interested in the CT2 green, if you think it's going to work for you, I'll leave a link in the description below. That is an affiliate link, and if you use it, it's very much appreciated from me to you. And on top of that, Cyelee did give me a discount code that you can use, and I'm going to put it on the screen right now, and that code's going to save you 10% if you think the CT2 is the right optic for you. So again, check it out, link below. That's all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I hope this video helped you out, and I hope you'll come back for the next one. See ya.